Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I have an amazing guest, someone who I recognise in the industry to be making huge moves. We met a couple years ago, back when I was working at Sony Music. And yeah, I just knew that he's someone that I wanted to bring on to, drop all the gems and teach us how he's navigating the UK music industry so well. So welcome, John Hill, to Touch Base with Zara.
Thank you. It's good to catch up again, and you're doing amazing. Because from knowing you at Sony and seeing where you are now, yeah, incredible stuff.
Thank you so much. And I think we were just discussing earlier, like I've definitely taken a lot of advice from you on how to be more focused and navigate and just kind of grow within the industry. So I think my first question to you is, we're here on a Saturday at Base Lab Studios. What does a normal Saturday look like for you, a busy man like John Hill?
It depends, And there's some Saturdays where I'm just like, I don't want to talk to nobody. I'm just going to binge watch like Insecure or something and like just chill out.
And I think one thing I can give you like huge credit for, and I've got a lot of respect for, is just you're just super focused. Like you've always kind of like stayed out the mix and out the noise in the industry. And you've always said like, you're focused on, you know what you're doing in your role, you know what you're doing with the business you're trying to build. And you just don't seem to get too distracted or fall into the peer pressure. Like, has that been a really conscious decision, or how did that come about?
I think it's just where I'm from, man. Like I'm focused because I know what I want to achieve and I know what I want to do at a certain time. So for me, I feel like all of the other stuff is fun, but it's like at the end of the day, like what do you get from it? Probably networking or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's like, what do you really get from it? So I'm always like, okay, cool. Anytime I need to go out, I'm like, what can I really gain from this? Like, am I going to meet somebody? Am I going to network? Am I going to do whatever? Like, it's always like goal driven for me. And when I need to chill, luckily I'm not the type of person that like likes to like go out. I'm the type of person that just wants to chill at home and like watch a show or whatever. So it works for me, I suppose. So there's no like secret sauce. I'm just doing what works for me, really. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So yeah, let's definitely discuss your role at Sony and digital partnerships.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain what the role is and what excites you about the role?
So digital partnerships, it's always very strange to explain this, especially like to my mom. My mom has no idea what they do. To her, you work in that company and that's it. But think of it this way. Probably like 5-10 years ago, when you need to find music, you go to a record store, right? You buy the actual CDs. But with the introduction of streaming, that's kind of changed. So instead of going to the record store, you find your music on Spotify, Apple Music, etc. My job essentially is to make sure the music is at the front shelf, if that makes sense. So like going to the record store at the front shelf on the display glass, etc. My job is to make sure that my repertoire is at the front shelf. So I lead partnerships with Apple Music, Spotify, etc. with the different DSPs, trying to make sure that my repertoire is visible. So that can take many forms. So playlisting, it could be banners on platform, it could be bespoke marketing campaigns with a particular DSP, anything just to make sure that like I'm amplifying the artist's reach on platform essentially is what my job is.
Amazing, super important. So do you want to just like kind of go back and explain how did you actually land this role? Like what was your very first experiences in the UK music industry and who helped you with opportunities?
My first role in the UK music industry was an internship at Universal Music. So at the time I was working at Island Records. But my journey in music actually started from a platform called Hamatan Rain. It's essentially a music blog. So initially joined them as a social media intern, just posting, stuff about artists. And then went into writing reviews, album reviews, etc. And then in 2020, I believe, I joined Apple Music, contributing to their playlists. So curating most of the African playlists. So Africa Now, African Heat, African Rap, etc. So curating all of that playlists, and then moved over to the UK initially for school to get my master's degree done. And I've always wanted to work in music, but growing up in Accra, Ghana, there isn't really many major labels in Accra specifically. Most of them are in South Africa or Nigeria. So when I got the opportunity to come here, I was like, shit, I need to work in music, and I swear,
Yeah. This is a safe space, don't worry.
So started working. Apple Music. Apple Music was really good for me because he really like opened up my head to what streaming and all of that can look like. So playlisting, working across multiple regions, all of that stuff. And then I got the internship role at Universal Music. And for me, oh my gosh, that was like my first big boy job. I remember walking into the Universal Music building like, fuck, like this is Universal Music, are you kidding me? And so, yeah, did an internship for a year, moved up into a coordinator role because I really started to enjoy streaming and all of that, and working across artist campaigns. Moved over to Sony, and yeah, we are, I suppose. Yeah.
So did you know specifically you wanted to get into streaming, or like were there other roles in the music industry that you were interested in or would have like chosen as an alternative?
Like I feel like in the music industry, everyone knows an A&R and marketing. And going into the music industry, I was like, yeah, I want to be an A&R. Like, that's what I want to do. But I think the internship was really key because that helped me properly understand what actually happens in the business. Because like there's a huge disconnect between what happens in like a major label versus what people see, what fans see. So I think the internship was really key. Like I'll advise anybody going to music to start with an internship because that helps you really decide what you want to do and what department you want to work in and where you think your skills are, important. And then, yeah. So I would say definitely the internship helped me really settle into streaming. Yeah. So, yeah.
And I think just to add, like from your story, I think it's kind of clear that even though people should, like, it's a great advice to do an internship, you actually built some experience before an internship. So it's really important just for people to know that, you have to kind of like take the driving seat and find opportunities or, get a passion project or, like you say, contribute to blogs, like playlists, anything that you can kind of get involved in within the music scene.
No,
is
it's definitely important to like start somewhere, like, because internships they don't just come like that. Like you need to have some sort of experience. So yeah, it could be anything like interning at a radio station, like you said, writing blogs, reviews, whatever, even down to like reviews on your phone, posted on your Instagram. It's the most basic thing you could do, but that helps you connect within the music industry and like build your network, and then you take it from there, really.
100%. And you said that you came here to study for your master's.
Yeah.
What did you study, and do you think it's been helpful to your career?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that like definitely transferable skills. No, in the sense that like working in music is a thing of passion, really. Like it's something that I genuinely care about. Like it's not because it's cool or whatever. So I studied banking and finance for my first degree, moved over here, did international business management. So transferable skills, definitely most of our analytical tools, analytical skills from, working in finance and international business management in a sense. So I see artists as brands, right? And my thing has always been to grow that brand from, wherever it is. I'm passionate about African artists because that's where I come from, and grow them into global brands. So like using that my skills, and then also like, from the business side, like figuring out how to grow a business in an international market, because African artists in the UK is an international business sort of. Yeah, so combining those two with like the fact that I genuinely care about the music and like growing artists, all of that. Yeah, so yes and no. So yes, it did, but at the same time, it's also a passion thing for me as well.
And in terms of like the analytical skills, do you think it's essential for someone to be really good at that going into a streaming on partnership role, or do you think it's just something you can learn on the job? And obviously it's super important, but what's your take on it?
I think it's a cornerstone of what we do as streaming. Data is a cornerstone of what we do as streaming, because it goes beyond, oh, this is a new release from this artist, make sure you put it on this playlist. It's also figuring out what the streams are like, what regions the streams are coming from, what is driving that growth in streams. Also like forecasting as well, because we need to figure out, okay, cool, by the end of this week, if we're doing so streams on day one, we're going to land it. There's a lot of like data analytics going into streaming. And and that helps us make decisions. So say, for instance, off the top of my head, an artist dropped a release and it's done like maybe 100K streams in week 1. They didn't really land the right playlists. You cannot just go to Apple Music and say, well, the music is good, so put me at this place. No, you need to like break down, okay, cool, lean forward is coming from here, lean back is coming from there. We think it did this on day 1, by the end of the week, it's going to do this based on our analytics. And this is why you should put it on this playlist. Does that make sense? So it's like data-backed decisions and data-backed pitches versus just vibes, if that makes sense. So that is very important for what we do.
100%. So with that as well, what would you say are like the top 5 qualities that a person should have to be successful in your role?
Attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Attention to detail is important because we deal with lots of numbers and lots of like research. So you need to make sure that you're getting that right. I think passion is important because you need to actually give a fuck about the music you're pitching. Like it's so different. Like we deal with so much, so many artists, so many campaigns. It's very easy to just go like, oh, that's just another release, you know? Like if you actually care about the music and care about the artist, then you can sell it to, you know, whoever you're selling it to, because our job is essentially sales. Like we're selling it to the DSPs. Like understanding of the data and all of that is super important as well, because that's what we do day in, day out. What else?
So I guess sales comes with like being a people's person as well, like communication and
speaking as well. Like you need to know how to speak to people, build relationships, and not just build relationships and make it feel like, oh, I'm friends with this person because I want to use them. No, like be in a position of value.
Amazing. So of course I want to discuss about the things you've actually worked on, the artists you've worked with.
Yeah.
Who have been like your favorite artists to work with, and you know, the best campaigns and the artists you've been most impressed with?
Man, there's so many, you know, like so many. Because my role at Sony means I get to work across everything and everyone, like from Beyonce to Caesar to J Hus to everything, bro. I would say my favorite campaign so far has been Davido. So last year we did a marketing thing with Amazon Music where we did like an orchestral version of one of his songs.
Was this for the Timeless project?
Yeah, for the Timeless project. He had a record on it called Feel.
Yeah.
So Feel, obviously Grammy nominated project, Grammy nominated song. Amazon wanted to do an orchestral version of the song. And Davido was the first African artist that we've done such a big partnership with. So that was really cool for me, you know, because like I love that music. I grew up on that music. But we had to find a way to make that campaign authentic to Davido, right? You know, so what we did was, outside of the strings and everything of the orchestra, we also added African drums to it as well. So there was like a traditional band that had like, you know, the drums and everything weaved with the orchestra, weaved with the live instruments. Oh, it was fantastic. So like all of that coming together for me, I'll say was my favorite campaign. And Davido's showing up, doing his thing as well, getting to like meet him in person, his team, and like being like the African guy that really was geeking and loving everything. Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah. So I'll say that Davido campaign was really special. When I was at university, I worked across Flow, the girl group. And for me, what made that special was the fact that I met Flo as 3 girls that just walked into the building. And I remember the first meeting, it was just, oh, this is these 3 girls, they're going to do amazing things, you know, they can sing. And there was like a live session where they performed for us in the label, and it was like, you know, really buying to them, made us fans of them first before we started to do our thing. And seeing them grow from 3 ladies that walked into the building to like touring and, you know, arenas and having fans outside is incredible. Like that's special to me. Like, you know,
to be a part of their growth.
yeah, like we're seeing the campaign from ground zero to building it up to literally battling for playlisting to now, like, you know, bigger partnerships, and we get to pick and choose. Incredible. Yeah.
And in terms of like the music, in terms of marketing, partnership strategy for artists, and specifically African artists,
Yeah.
what advice would you give like for artists in 2025 on their content strategy and partnership strategy?
I think TikTok is a blessing, and not just TikTok, like the internet, social media is a blessing, because it's previously been very difficult to break African artists, but, you know, that's significantly changed in the past 5 years. Like we literally have a Grammy category, and like artists like Thames, Burna Boy are global artists. I think, from my opinion, is African music is very specific to Africa in terms of like the sound, the rhythms,
Culture, language.
everything. Like, is very specific to Africa. So the struggle has always been to, how do we put this in a box and export this, right? And how do we get, people in other regions to really connect to this music? Because African music is not it's very like cultural, Please don't ignore data. Like, I know it sounds boring and I sound like, the guy from the label with data, but I promise you it's super important, because that helps really guide where you drive your music to. I'll give you an example. There's an emerging talent that I work with under Rain Labs. She's been putting out music for a while, averaging like probably like 100K streams, 200K streams, which is, is good for an emerging artist. Just off the back of data, we realized that she had like a huge following in Germany. And then I spoke to the team and told them that, yo, you guys need to lean into this thing. I don't know how you're going to get to Germany, but like there's an audience there for you. And like the streams show it, And what she did was she reached out to a couple of people, and someone connected her to an artist in Germany. And she collaborated with someone in Germany. Like, there's this German rapper on the rise as well. And she was able to hit, I think their latest release hit, it should be at 2 million right now. But then it hit like 1 billion streams in a couple weeks. And is quite impressive. From an artist averaging 100K streams to going straight to 1 million, now it's almost at 2 million streams, is incredible. And that's just off the back of following the data. So like, yeah, I would definitely say data is,
So it sounds like, with what you're doing a lot of like international marketing essentially, and like, what you just described is like artists building where there's already like a fan base bubbling, rather than like just picking where they want to build. Because I think some artists are just like, oh, I want to have like huge fan base in London, do these shows in London. But if you've got fans in Germany, like go where you're loved, like go where you're supported. So
yeah, definitely go for it. And like the data shows you that, Yeah. So yeah, I'd say definitely that would be my biggest advice. And also social strategy is also key as well. Like, we love stuff that looks good on the internet. So like, just pay attention to like your cover art, your mixing and mastering, your visualizers. Just the quality of that is really important.
And, because you've got the comparison of like experience in the music industry in West Africa and working here, what are the things that you would kind of like take from the UK music industry and want the like African artists to implement?
I think one thing I love about the UK music industry is access to stuff. So there's a lot of resource, like, you're able to book your own venues, do your own little show. You're able to, practice in like a proper studio. Like, there's no such thing. There's like, what's it called? There's this studio thing, forgotten. It's like a suite of studios where you go in and then you can like book a room, and then things like that. We don't.
It's like pirate studios.
Yeah,
like,
use that to surround the room. Where like we don't have that back home. So like in the UK, there's access to things, Whereas in Africa, because there's no access to things, everything is probably direct to fan base. Like I feel like African artists have mastered their ability to sell directly to their fans through social media and through meeting in person and all of that. So I think there's a lot that we can learn from each other, in terms of from the UK side, we can definitely benefit from learning to like, figure out ways to connect with fans directly. And on the African side is figuring out how to use resources available to you to create like some really cool shit. So it's like, I feel like we can learn from each other, really.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what would you say, like, for you personally, are the biggest challenges of working in the music industry, or like things that you didn't expect?
For me, it was culture.
Okay.
In terms of bro, like my definition of catalog music is old Davido music. Like, my pop music is Davido, Wizkid, Burna Boy. That's what I grew up on. Whereas I come here and everyone is like, I don't know, I'm still struggling with Isaac and Tales. So I don't know their names. But yeah, I think that shift for me was like surprising. Like, I'm like, how come you don't know Oxlade's first record? That's weird. But then obviously most people discovered Oxlade or Closer. So, so like I feel like that difference was a big thing for me. But being here, working in the music industry, I've had to learn that and like really like figure out how to re-educate myself really and like really learn about, so this is why Giggs is the GOAT and this is why Skepta is the GOAT and all of that. Yeah.
So what are some of like the resources or ways that you caught up and you learn about these things for, like, maybe international students that are coming to do the same thing that you're doing, or people, for example, like I hear a lot of like black music execs who feel they're being pigeonholed into black music, but they want the opportunity to work on different artists across different genres like pop, garage, drum and bass, all these other genres. So like, what are some ways that you can actually like catch up and learn about other scenes in the music?
It sounds basic, but I would just say people. Like, just make friends with people. You can learn so much from people. Like, I'm in the place where I'm open. Like, I work across everything. So I work across Ryan Bowman, James Arthur, Stewart, Davido, Thames, Tyler. I work indie artists, etc. And like I said, I always try to genuinely fall in love with the music first. So just speaking to people and understanding why they love the music. Like right now, I'm like a huge Calvin Harris fan. So it's like really like falling in love with, the music and using people's stories and people's like falling in love with the music through people's lenses, if that makes sense. So it's like, why do you love this person so much? And like really speak to them and like really understand why dance music is so big and like what that represents. Like working at Universal, the guy I was sitting close to, so with my desk, he's a huge dance music fan. And at Universal, a pretty cool thing that we used to do was just blast music in the office. I mean, we do have Sony as well. So you walk into the building and music is just blasting 24/7. And anyone can have the aux. So then rather than saying, okay, cool, Afrobeats, I need to listen just Afrobeats, like I listen to all other people are listening to and I really like get a sense of, this is why they love this artist. Yeah, if that makes sense. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, answer the question.
Yeah, and I think you said you started with saying it's like a basic thing, but actually I think it's just like really reinforces that there's never a stupid question. Like there's only stupid answers. It's like, so I think it's just really good to encourage people where nothing's stupid questions.
Yeah, and I'll ask questions as well. I feel like I've really benefited from that, and it's the most random thing. Like I remember first time I walked into a music, we have this thing called label meetings. And then it was like, so the charts did this and the charts did that. I'm like, what are the charts and why do we care what the charts? And I remember everyone looking at me like, what you don't know what the charts are? And, how don't you see how relevant that is? But it's just learning and like just asking questions and really understanding from people. And I've been lucky to work with amazing people that have been in their roles for years on years. So like they proper love music and understand what it is that you're doing. So yeah, ask questions, bro. Like honestly, ask questions.
Well, huge congrats, and to the whole team, because you've also now partnered with Virgin Music, super big for the company. So do you want to just like explain what does that mean? Also for like people that are in their startup stages, and you can kind of like let them know what the potential opportunities are out there.
Yeah, I mean, Virgin coming to partner with Relapse is incredible. Like, it's something that we've been working towards for years now. I've always spoken about Relapse and
Yeah, it's not overnight.
Yeah, exactly. So it took a long time, and obviously Virgin was not the first partner that we spoke to as well. So I say that to say sometimes it doesn't work out, but that's not a bad thing. Because we've had conversations with several labels and it didn't work out, and that could have felt like, oh my gosh, this is the end. But we kept on going. So yes, what our partnership with Virgin essentially means is previously we've leaned on ourselves, we've leaned on our resources, we've leaned on our expertise, we've leaned on our relationships to really scale our artists. But Virgin coming in means that now we have essentially universal music, behind us. So we have funding from Virgin. We also have their resource as well. I'll give you an example. There's an artist in Ghana called Joey B. We're working with him for the release of his next project. He has a song that started to take off on TikTok. Previously, what we would have done from a TikTok partnership's point of view is use their data, get more playlisting, get DSPs to really back the artist. And then, that's basically what we can do. We can also lean out. We can, if the artist has the budget, we can speak to a couple of our, trusted freelancers, and then, figure out ads and all of like the social strategies to make sure that the music is connecting with people. But Virgin coming in means that we can do so much more. We can actually pay for music videos. We can also lean into, like a Zebra campaign where like, we get a bunch of influencers to really, push the sound. So Virgin is essentially a resource, really. That's what it means. Like, it's giving us a resource to do more than just we could have done on our own. And obviously, these guys have been doing this for forever. So like, experience is also important. So they're like, okay, cool. You have this and it's probably on our TikTok. This and this is what we did for Rema. This and this is what we think you can do for your artist. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that resource is really important for us. Yeah.
That's amazing to hear. So you're going to have another super busy year.
Right.
What are you most excited about for 2025? What should we look out for from John Hill?
Man, like, really doing it is what I think it is. Like, I feel like over the past few years, it's been, we really want to do this and we're trying to do this and, we're trying to figure out how we can do it. But this year, it feels like, okay, cool. Like, we've entered the group chats now. You can actually really do some really cool shit. And so, yeah, there's a bunch of artists that we're working with that I'm excited for, because now we can actually really do some really cool shit. Yeah, man, like, I don't like to like really give out much, because I'm like, I think one thing I really love is letting results speak for itself.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's how we built our business. We let results speak for itself. So I'll just say, if you hear a song that is going off, you just know that, yeah, the boys are bits. Yeah. Right.
I love that. And just on the last note, is there anyone that you want to shout out and thank for like your music journey so far?
Oh man, so many people. I think I've been lucky enough to have a bunch of mentors that really supported me throughout my journey. Obviously, the boys at Rain Labs, like, I couldn't do it without them. Like, they really give me a platform to really pull all of the crazy ideas I have in my head to use, because I feel like without Rain Labs, I wouldn't be able to actually, prove that I can really do this shit, So really appreciate the boys at Rain Labs. And also I have a bunch of mentors as well that really supported me. I don't know if they want to, like, mention their names and stuff. This might sound like an award ceremony, but like, my family, bro, like, I promise you, like, my parents have really given me a chance to just go off and do what I want to do. Like, because getting out of uni, I worked at a bank for a bit. And then I was like, you know what, this is not really for me, and I feel like lots of parents will go like, what do you mean this is not for you? Like, bro, so the confidence to be able to leave a bank job and like actually, say I want to work in the music industry. Yeah.
That's huge, especially when you say like your mum still doesn't understand.
So like, I really appreciate them for like really trusting me to like follow my passion. I feel like lots of parents wouldn't do that. So like, I appreciate them for doing that.
Well, amazing. Well, I'm sure they're so proud of you. Like, you're being an incredible role model, an advocate, ambassador for West Africa. And yeah, I'm super proud to, see how far you've come, have you on this show, and I'm sure we'll touch base again soon. So do you just want to let the viewers know, like, where can they find you and how can they follow and connect with you?
Okay, cool. I'm open to work, like I said, I have all these crazy ideas in my head and I can't wait to like try them out. So definitely hit me up on socials and John Hill. So it's called JXHN_Hill. And hit me up, let's work. And I'm also big on two things, right? So don't just hit me up and say let's work. No, vision and consistency. Like, as an artist, you should know what you're about. You should know what you're trying to do. You should know where you're trying to, what market you're trying to reach, all of that. So have vision and consistency in terms of, a lot of times you find artists that create an amazing record and then, that's just the end of it. Like, that consistency to like create and consistently push yourself. So yeah, vision, consistency. If you have that, hit me up. Let's work. Yeah.